Namaste Sada Vatsale Matru Bhume Tvaya Bharata Bhume Sukam Vartitoham. Humble pranams at the lotus feet of my mother Mahabharati and my parents who had made me what I am today. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Ram Ram to everybody. Today is MahaShivratri. In US, a lot of people celebrate it today, which is starting from now until tomorrow evening. In Bharat, it starts tomorrow and ends day after tomorrow. So whoever wants to celebrate today can celebrate, whoever wants to celebrate tomorrow can celebrate, but whatever may be the case, follow these few things when you do MahaShivratri. So before that, what is MahaShivratri? We discussed this even last year, the year before, but I just wanted to again reiterate as to what we discussed so that you all will understand and follow what you need to do during today or tomorrow, whenever you follow. What is MahaShivratri? During a year, there are 12 to 13 Shivaratris, MahaShivratri, which is monthly. Every 14th day of a month, just the day before the complete new moon day. It is Shivaratri, which means the distance between the earth to the sun is the farthest, which is the maximum, because that is the darkest day during the month. So that is just before the new moon day. The 14th day of every month is MahaShivratri, monthly Shivaratri. I don't know how many of you follow this, but this is the way it is. So the one which comes in the month Magha, it is called MahaShivratri. Why MahaShivratri? The legend says there are a few stories. I will let you know just a glimpse of it. The first one being, it says the Trimurtis, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwar, they had a questions between each other, and they were like, who is better than other? Then Mahavishnu and Brahma, they started showing the stuff, but suddenly Shiva, he took a Vishwarupa in the form of Linga. So it was so high and so deep. So Mahavishnu said, okay, I will go see and how far it is on the top. And he asked Brahmaji to go down and see how deep it is. So Brahmaji traveled for ages. Mahavishnu traveled for ages on the top. But both went for long and they couldn't find the end. They just couldn't. He was going and going, and Brahmaji was going deep, so they could never find the end of Shivalinga. So then they gave up and they said, Shiva, you are the greatest of all three. That is one of the story in Puranas. The another story, the legend says, that Shiva took the form of Nataraja and he did perform the Shiva Tandava. And during this time, Shiva Tandava, the Jata, Jatadhara, he's called Jatadhara, which means his hair is completely intertwined and they were long. So when he took the dance, when he looked at the left and the right and the way he was dancing, he was so fast that the motion of those jeta, his hair, was moving in the opposite direction. So it was so fast. So even the physics, they started learning about this Nataraja. So that is another story. Another one, it is said that during this time, Ma Parvati Devi married Bhagavan Shiva. So Parvati Devi, she was so very in love with Bhagavan Shiva. She was praying that she has to marry him. But at last he accepts, and she goes to her parents and says, look, I like him, I want to marry him. But they see his Vastradharana. They look at him and say, man, he doesn't look handsome at all. He looks dirty. He's always, all over his body, it is ash. Ash is just completely around his body, and his body is with a snake, and he wears skin. He doesn't look nice. So they, for a long time, they said no. But Parvati Devi was very determined that she wanted to get married with him. So at last they agree, and during the marriage time, they all wait for him to come. So when they all come, he comes with Naga sadhus, he comes with sages and saints, he comes with several Bhutaganas, and everybody. They're all like dirty, they're fearful, they're ugly, they are not very, pleasant looking, handsome, very decent. They're not. You know how Bhagavan Shiva is. So when he comes, everybody will be looking at each other and say, such a beautiful lady marrying such an ugly man. This Parvati Devi listens when everybody is talking around. When Bhagavan Shiva comes, the way he is, she just looks at him in awe of him. She says, I love you as the way you are. Then immediately, as soon as she utters that, he becomes a Sundareshwara, so handsome, so very with grace and light around him, so handsome, which the other people will be like, wow, we have not seen such a handsome person before. See how the people are, they just change. But for Parvati Devi, irrespective of whether he changed for others or not, he was always handsome. Whether how he was looking ugly for others, for her, he was always handsome. So they got married during this time. So that is one story. You all know, we always discuss about any festivals in Bharat, it's all connected with the nature. We talked about it all the time. So this is not new. So MahaShivratri, as we talked about, the 14th day of each month falls on the new moon. That is scientific. Right? During this time, in the planetary alignment or in astronomical science, during this time, there is a net upsurge of energy from bottom to top, which means from the basic chakra. We have 7 chakras in our body. In order to be awakening, meaning the spiritual awakening, or to be an enlightened person, we need to activate all the chakras. That is what a lot of people start meditating, the chakra meditation. So you have seen a lot of people doing that. But during this time in MahaShivratri, if you sit erect, and because there is a natural upsurge of energy during this time, when you sit erect with the backbone straight, the lowest chakra to the highest chakra, the upsurge of energy, the prana in the body, during the upsurge of energy, it will activate each of the 7 chakras until the top one. When you sit straight with the backbone straight and the chakras are all activated, you will feel the awakening of Kundalini, which means that you will become awakened person, which you will become union with Bhagavan Mahashiva. That is called MahaShivratri. That is spiritual reason. So we talked about the scientific reason, we talked about the spiritual reason and Puranic stories. So during this time, a lot of people, what they do is, if you see some old people, if they lie down, that's okay because of their physical inability to sit straight. Small babies, obviously, they don't know, so they can. But whoever can understand languages, who can communicate, whether he is 5-6 years old till 80-90, if the person is good, in a good state, healthy, they have to sit straight during this night. Again, I repeat, if you follow tonight or tomorrow night, it is up to you, because tomorrow night it is in Bharat, tonight is in US. So if you can sit straight during this time, and if you lie down, you're going to harm yourself, not physically, but spiritually. Please understand, all the invertebrate animals, the animals which are horizontal, which have 4 legs, unfortunately, for their physical nature, by birth, they cannot keep the backbone erect. So, they don't get this. Only us humans, we are gifted to have the backbone straight. We are vertebrate, right? Vertical. So we can sit straight. We are the only gifted, again I repeat, the humans are the only gifted people. We can sit straight, and if we do this meditation, we will awaken the Kundalini, which means that we are spiritually enlightened person. Never lie down until 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. because tomorrow you have offices, schools. Try to do as much as possible. Do not be on electronics. You cannot play. You cannot watch nonsense movies. You cannot listen to nonsense music. This is all about spirituality. This is all about you being contemplating about yourself. And during this night, when we talked about the earth being farthest from the sun, and during the night, Ratri means night. What is night? Meaning darkness. So when there is no sun, and the moon is also no moon, it's dark. Remember we talked about 14th day of every month, which is just before the new moon, which means there is no moon as well. There is no sun, there is no moon, which means obviously there is darkness. Very few stars you can see during this night. That is MahaShivratri we talked about, right? So the same way in our body as well, we have MahaShivratris. Whatever is happening in the universe, in the space, it is also happening in our body. How is that possible? Whenever you take breath, whenever you breathe out and again breathe in, there is a small gap between breathing out and breathing in. That small gap. Okay, remember again, I repeat, there is no sun, there is no moon, there is darkness during this time. That is MahaShivratri in Magha. The same thing in our body also. MahaShivratri happens during when what is breathing in, breathing out? Ida Pingala. What is Ida Pingala? Sun Nadi and Moon Nadi. That is breathing in, breathing out. Ida Pingala. So we left and right nostrils, we breathe in, breathe out, right? So Sun Nadi and Moon Nadi, they are called Sun and the Moon. They represent Sun and the Moon. When we breathe out and again breathe in, there is a gap. There is no breath during that gap. That represents MahaShivratri in our body. We remember we talked about in the space, there is no sun, there is no moon, the dark time. The same thing in our body. Breathe out, breathe in. The sun and the moon aspects are not there during that gap. That gap is MahaShivratri inside our body. If we focus on that gap, focusing on that gap and meditating on it, you can achieve Shiva. This is the highest spiritual reason. That is the goal. A lot of people do it. I'm not suggesting that you should not breathe, but what I'm trying to say is the natural cycle of breathing out and breathing in, and that between the breathing out and breathing in, there is a small gap. You focus on that gap when you're breathing and breathing out. The focus on that gaps. That is MahaShivratri within us. During a day, how many times we take a deep breath and leave? How many times we take breath during a day? And I'm sure everybody is going to look at Google. It is 21,600 times. So 21,600 MahaShivratris we can get when we focus on that gap. If we can do focus and meditate on that gap, you will achieve Shiva. That is it. That is MahaShivratri. So please sit straight, listen to good music, watch something only spiritual and bhakti related. No electronics, which means there are no phones and tablets on the kids' hands. Nobody should be looking at anything other than what we just discussed about. Or if you can sit straight and do dhyana, listen to Shiva stotras or Shiva bhakti songs, and if you can sing or do meditation, that is wonderful. When you do it, it is not about outside, it is all about inside. Remember, we talked about every festival is about looking inside. We look inside. We are seekers, we are not believers. Remember that? So we are not searching anything outside. We are looking inside to see how we feel, how the breath is, what is the gap between the breathing and breathing out, contemplation within inside. That's when we reach Shiva. So follow these and you will attain Shiva. Happy MahaShivratri to all of you. Hara Hara Mahadeva Shambho Shankara. Jai Bhavani. Namaste.